Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the Huddy Hui. It's fantastic to have you on tonight watching this episode, and it's a great honour to have the coach of the Wellington Lions and former All Black Tamati Ellison joining us on the Huddy Hui tonight. Tamati, many thanks for coming on. Kia ora. What a great win over Counties Manukau last Saturday. Must be proud how the team is tracking in the NPC so far.
Kia ora, thanks for having me on. Yeah, we are. We're really proud of the efforts. We've been impressed by our leaders and their intent in these early rounds, and it's encouraging to see the younger boys that have had opportunity kind of step up.
In particular, you mentioned about the younger players in the team. How special was it that during Storm Week you rested a few of your starters for the game against Canterbury, and they really stepped up to the mark and won down in Christchurch again?
Yeah, again, looking back at that game, the thing that impressed us most was there were errors, and Canterbury started to catch us in that second half, but the boys continued to play and trust themselves, and Lossie scored in the end there off a nice wee break, and we were just happy that again they continued to play footy and didn't go into their shells.
Particularly that week was a tough one. It was the Storm week, 3 games in a week. That Wednesday game against Tasman, they're a great side, Tasman, as you know, 7-0. The key to that victory was the defence. I remember talking to Ruben Love at the Referee Awards a few weeks ago, and he said you made over 200-odd tackles on defence. Impressive. You must be proud of how your team's going, particularly in the defensive effort.
Yeah, we started to really build our DNA around our defence last year. And since my time in coaching, we've always been able to score points. I think in the last 3 years, we've been up there around the top 1 or 2 teams in terms of scoring points and tries. So the only thing that was probably holding us back was our intent, and we're really clear what that means now, and we're getting the benefits from it.
How special is it for you to coach the Lions as the head coach for the team you also played for back in the day?
It's really special. Yeah, I mean, to play for the Lions was special, and now the opportunity to try and give back to the players is great. Porirua born and bred, and I love being back home, and I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to coach this group. It's a young crew, and I think it's got a bright future.
What have you brought to the Lions this year as head coach around the culture and the setup?
I don't think there's much different from what we did last year under Leo and Paul Tito. One of our big kind of focuses as a coaching group is to make sure that the players feel empowered, that they feel like they have a lot of control over what's being driven in the working week, and with the age of the players now and the system that they come through, it's important that we give them enough opportunity to lead, but at the same time we grow their leadership, and that's something we've emphasised over the last couple of seasons.
The Ranfurly Shield has brought a new sense of purpose to this team. Tell us about the importance of being the shield holders.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, because you're playing every week and you're prepping for whatever team it's, you tend to forget about it. Like we beat Hawke's Bay last year, which was amazing, and then we defended it against a great Waikato team in Wellington, and then since then we were able to kind of park it and focus on winning the title. And this year we've had to shape our weeks to make sure that we can do what we need to continue to hold it. And
I think we just lost somebody there. Okay, Tamati, you're back. I think your internet just buffered a bit. So,
Oh,
yeah, no
they
worries.
might not have paid the bill.
So, you just mentioned about the Shield and the importance and how you're setting it up for this year. Would you like to just finish your answer?
Yeah, I mentioned last year we won the Shield late in the season, so it was only the one defence I think against Waikato. Whereas this year we've had to shape each week and each defence. Um, the boys have done a really good job there, and it always brings us a special edge to the week. So it's the weeks like this one against Waikato, and next week against Bay of Plenty that we have to search for, the edge sometimes and the meaning of the week because the Shield isn't up for grabs.
Now, you're one of the few to win the Renfrew Shield, not as a coach, but as a player. Talk us through 2008 when you beat Auckland at Eden Park to break 27 years of a drought.
Yeah, reflecting back on it now, I don't remember too much of the game, but I had a decent night with Michael Hobbs, and I remember getting on the bus at about 7 in the morning without having much sleep. So that's the thing that stands out the most. Reflecting back on that, we had a parade, I think, at the Civic Square, and it was quite nice to have that support and to have people in and around the Shield that had a history with it. So, we're going to try really hard. We play North Harbour and Porirua, and we're going to make sure the Shield's out in public, and we drum up the support for that defence, which will be a tough game against North Harbour.
Before the Southland game, the Ranfurly Shield was restored with a new bit of new wood to replace the old around it. How important was it for the team to be part of that ceremony where the Ranfurly Shield was presented to you guys restored?
Yeah, it was one of those things you probably don't think about too much in the moment. You're just focusing on the footy, but it was quite nice to have gone through that process with Luke Crawford and the NZR, and I think more and more having respect for physical objects and the Māori and the energy that's in them. I was out with our liaison in Canterbury a couple of weeks back, and we're actually driving to pick up a copy of Bill Bush's book, and he mentioned to me about my grandfather, Vince Bevan, who played, I think, in the 50s and took the Ranfurly Shield off Canterbury. So it's quite nice when you think about the actual history and the whakapapa of the Shield, and then we get an opportunity now with it being restored to kind of leave our mark and a wee bit of a legacy on this period.
You mentioned about culture. How important is Māori culture in your rugby career and also as a coach?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because it's kind of asking, I'm not sure, a Pākehā how important Pākehā culture is in their work. I've grown up Māori, so I don't know any different. I'm very proud of who I am, and so it's it's an interesting question. It's not so probably a bit 2023 and politically correct, but not a lot changes for me. I've grown up and I'm very grateful to know my language and my whakapapa, and it's hard to reflect on anything else because I haven't really had anything else.
How did you get into rugby coaching? Was it while you were playing in Japan?
Yeah. I probably realised my hair was getting a wee bit grey and my knees were starting to pack up a wee bit. So I really love the intricacies of the game, and so I naturally gravitated to, as an older player, trying to help the team a wee bit more off the field, and that's probably how it started. I hadn't had a plan of becoming a coach while I was playing, but I'm very grateful for the opportunities and really enjoying the challenge now.
In 2021, you joined the coaching staff of the successful Crusaders. How have you found working down there in Canterbury? in Christchurch, and how important has Scott Razor Robertson been in your coaching journey?
Yeah, I've loved my time in Christchurch. I was surprised, I played against the Crusaders as a Hurricane and then a Highlander, and I had an opportunity to play there, but decided it kind of wasn't my time, and so it's been an eye opener. It wasn't what I expected. It's a lot more Māori and Polynesian influence. I as a player, have a lot of respect for the place and just how welcoming it has been for myself and my family has been the biggest impact on me. Working with Ray and Scotty Hansen, Andrew Goodman, and Chase Ryan, now Dan Perrin and James Marshall. It's been amazing connecting with that level of coach, and it's a dream job for me to wake up each morning and plan and help players get better at footy, and it's really easy for me to go to work. It's a lot of work, so I have to be conscious that I'm putting enough in with my family as well. I have 6 children, so but I love my job down there, and I'm very lucky for the experience I've had up till now.
Are you any good at breakdancing?
Yeah, I don't mind the dance.
So how did the move to head coach of the Lions come about? And how do you manage your time with Super Rugby and the NPC?
Leo was moving on last year, so he kind of had let me know that early enough, and we had a successful year last year, and I guess the board wanted to keep some kind of continuity there, and I was the lucky recipient of that, and it's been really good to build a new crew. Orlando Sorkai, a good friend of mine who I played New Zealand Sevens with and had a successful kind of finish of his period in Japan, winning there, and then Ryan Piper and Trent Renata, who have coached successfully here in Wellington. So Greg Halford is the only one from last year who's still on board, and no, I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Now you mentioned about Pararua Park in a few weeks' time against North Harbour. Your rugby journey started out there in Pararua, particularly out at Mana College. How was your time there? And do you go back from time to time to see Mana College?
Yeah, I live back in Porirua, and my wife's from here as well. So again, it's a bit like the Māori culture question. It's home, and yeah, we're at Mana all the time. Douglas Karifi, our captain's actually living up the road from Mana, and he's doing a good job there, helping the first 15. My time there was probably similar to where it is now. We were probably 3rd division, I think, and they may be in the top division now, but we didn't really have a lot of numbers. So it was a challenge if you wanted to become a professional rugby player, from not playing for Wellington secondary schools, and it wasn't until I got to Norths that I could actually have a crack at representative sides. But yeah, I love my time at Mana, and it's home.
And of course, your time at Northern United, you played with some of the great players that came through club rugby. Tell us about your time at Norths.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We had a number of us Porirua boys, Mana College, my brother and I, and Aotea College, Serge Lilo, and who became obviously a Hurricane and a Chief, and a Viard College, John Schwalger, again another Hurricane, a Porirua College, Robbie Fruin. So we had a number, and then Jerry Collins, Gerard Fasavalu, that were all Porirua boys that went back to the club to play. And I probably missed a few names, there, but we had a great group at the time, and managed to win our first Jubilee Cup in that era, and probably we're really lucky. You know, we just coach from our dads and local local men. So that really helped give me an opportunity to play representative rugby because of my time at Norths and the amount of Porirua boys that stayed there during that period.
Last year we had Gordon Titchens on the Huddy Hui, and you went through the New Zealand Sevens program with Gordon as the coach. Tell us about your time with the New Zealand Sevens and when you won gold at the Melbourne Commonwealth Games in 2006.
Yeah, I love my time with the Sevens. At that period, I kind of hadn't had a Super Rugby contract, so I was, kind of half with the Wellington Lions and half at uni at Vic. So the Sevens really was my first introduction to a full-time professional program. So I loved it. The training was tough, but probably the disciplines that Titch set us up with, allowed me to have a long career, and I owe a lot to Titch for that opportunity, and to play in World Cups against Serevi and to win the gold medal at the Melbourne Commonwealth Games was special kind of moments. But I love my time, and it was different back then because it wasn't a full long time program. It was kind of maybe 6 tournaments a year, and then you kind of went back to NPC. But Super Rugby's kind of has trumped that a wee bit now, and but I enjoyed. I haven't watched a lot of Sevens for a number of years. Probably in the 15s game, especially with coaching now. But I was grateful for my opportunity.
Did Sevens develop your 15 game further as you eventually got into Super Rugby?
Yeah, it definitely did. Like I wasn't fast or very powerful, so I think I had most of my money is trying to be fit, and Sevens is multi-skill set, so kick, run, pass, and tackle, and that probably set me up from a 15s perspective, and allowed me to play a number of positions, and probably keep me in a job for long enough, especially in behind some of the greats of the game with Conrad and Ma'a and Tana before that.
You played for the Blues, the Highlanders and the Rebels, but you played over 50 games for the Hurricanes. What was one of your best games in the Hurricanes colours?
Unsure there. I can't really pick one. I was grateful for the minutes I got, and we had a good win in Perth when we were up against it, and I think Corey James scored a great try, and we kind of stole victory that night. And those little ones you remember when your team's up against the wall a wee bit. The Waratahs in Sydney before we played the Waratahs for the semi-final, Wellington, then going on to play the Crusaders in Christchurch in the fog. We had a nice run that year, and to be a part of that group with so many legends with Tana and JC and Rodders, and it was not so much games but eras and getting to play with guys that you admired as a child.
You mentioned before your grandfather Vince Bevan. The Ellison name has a strong rugby history when you look at it throughout the New Zealand history books. Tell us about the history of the Ellison family and rugby union, because it goes back right from day dot when rugby started.
Yeah, it does, and it's something I'm really proud of now. And I don't really dig my heels in too many things. I'm happy to let things go, but I am really I'm really committed to New Zealand rugby and the growth of the game, and making sure that Māori culture is heavily involved in the New Zealand Rugby Union because of the whakapapa of Uncle Tom and the roots of the union. So it's my brothers, I think, in Auckland now at a Māori board meeting. It's something that we're quite conscious of. We were very lucky to have had our tipuna as pioneers in a lot of areas, and it's important that we continue to set that up for our kids and youngsters playing footy in the country.
It's every young man's dream to pull on the All Black jersey, and your opportunity came in 2009. You got a chance in a test match against Italy in your All Black number 1099. How special was it when you were announced to play in the All Black team and when you pulled out that black jersey for the first time?
Yeah, it was really special. It's probably not until you get the jersey and reflect on the journey up until that stage. Looking back, I wish that I probably had wasn't as self critical or self analytical, and I just went and played a bit more as I did in the later years of my career. And I probably felt that I played my best years later, my best rugby later. Sorry, but it's amazing, it's a nice feeling for your parents. You don't know at the time because you're so dialed into actually performing and not letting the jersey down. But again, reflecting back, I would have loved to have, I try and tell my players now, just trust yourself and go out and play. You're here for a reason, and go and do the thing. Don't be too critical of misstepping.
Now, rugby, since your playing days, has gone through a lot of changes. If there's one law you would want to change in rugby union, what would it be?
One law. Well, that's a good question. I think they're doing a good job around the safety now. And players are getting bigger and stronger and faster, and it's important that we, as footy players, learn how to control our bodies and in a physical way, but also a safe way. I think if you're going to be big, explosive athletes, you also need to know, be really clear on what you're hitting, because the game is brutal if you get it wrong. So I wouldn't change any rules. I just encourage, the safety of the game, and potentially again around the 30 seconds and speeding the game up. I think it's a good thing as well, because you still have to have that fitness component to play at a high level, and it probably forces some of the power athletes and the super explosive athletes to make sure they're kind of lean enough and fit enough to play at that speed.
The NPC, how important is it to the growth of New Zealand rugby?
Yeah, I think it's critical because of where the period is. It takes it's 9 or 10 weeks or 12 if you're including the finals. It's an important period. Not everyone's going to be in the All Black group, so where do the kind of the rest go, and you get a nice balance of Super Rugby players, a couple of All Blacks, and then your young club players coming through. I think the important part is that we continue to develop the club players. So we're not just taking 17, 18-year-olds straight to NPC and trying to put them straight to Super Rugby. The pathway, to continue to encourage the pathway that the guy who might be 23, 24, but he's had 3 or 4 years at club rugby, can still make a great NPC player, and then have 5 or 6 good years at Super Rugby. And I think you should get a more mature athlete, and I just honestly feel that it's safer both physically and for the mental health.
You got Waikato on Friday in Hamilton. How is the team preparing for this challenge?
Yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. I think Waikato haven't really got the results that they deserve. They've got some great firepower in their team. I know they've got a few injuries in a few positions, but they're well coached. Like with Floss and Tomo and Dwayne Sweeney there, the coaches know what they're doing. We've always struggled in Hamilton to really finish them, so they'll remember that history. So we've got a lot of respect for what we're going into on Friday night, and we're training accordingly.
And we'll finish up with this question. Rugby World Cup starts this Saturday. Who's going to take out the William Webb Ellis Trophy?
My heart is with the All Blacks. I think, I've seen glimpses, South Africa at Mount Smart, and that we can beat, the teams that potentially have been in form a wee bit more. Ireland and Eden Park last year. So my heart's definitely with the All Blacks, and I'll be supporting them 100%. I do feel that the French, although they've had a few injuries with, like Intermac and others, that they won't be as strong. But if I was to bet, it would be the French, with the Irish not too far behind.
Tamati, it's been fantastic having you on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best for the rest of the NPC season. Go well.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
There's Tamati Ellison, the head coach of the Wellington Lions. What a great job he's doing with that squad at the moment. Top of the table of the NPC and still with the Renfrew Shield. Reminder, folks, is that on Thursday we'll be back at 7 o'clock for episode 98, and our guest will be the captain of the OBU Scallywags, Matt Fowler. And the Scallywags, of course, are in the semi-finals of the National Under 85 kg Cup against the Takapuna Bombers. So we'll be previewing that game with Matt, as well as his rugby career. He formerly played halfback in the OBU Premier side. And speaking about that game as well, Huddy Sports will also be live streaming that National Under 85 kg semi-final from Rugby League Park on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. So, courtesy of New Zealand Rugby. So, 2 more events to come this week. But we'll see you back here on the Huddy Hui on Huddy Sports YouTube, 7 o'clock for episode 98. I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.